If you were taught to be selfless, responsible, and nice, but never taught how to want something specifically for yourself, this video is for you. Here's the thing, manifesting is a little harder for women over 40, and it's because we're carrying old programming that says, don't want too much, be realistic, take care of everyone else first. Got to make sure that list is done before you do anything for yourself. Any of these sound familiar? Here's the thing. Most manifesting advice was not made for women in midlife. We can't manifest our own dreams if we are wired to support someone else's. Most manifesting advice wasn't built for women like us. So the men out there are talking about go, 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 hustle, 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 push, 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 but that just throws our nervous system off kilter. And it takes us even further away from being able to manifest what it is we want. Or we get those young manifesting things in their 20s out there talking about loving yourselves and taking great care of yourselves and manifesting things, but they don't have the same programming we do. They don't have that programming that says, that's not okay. We were taught to shrink, not to expand. So if you're a woman in midlife thinking, is it okay to want something more? Or is it too late? Can I still do something? Or I've done so much for everyone else. Now what? Can I do something for myself? This video is for you. You are in the right place, I pinky swear. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 6 steps that I use and teach for manifesting. And I am going to actually go through each of the steps, talking about how they are different for women in midlife. I want to help you get clear, take gentle action, and manifest that life that you are craving. Ready to step into your extraordinary life? Join me as I share tips that have helped hundreds of clients live more satisfying lives for over 30 years of life coaching, because you deserve to live the life you're dreaming of. Let's do this together. So my name is Erdman-Luntz, and I have been a life coach yoga educator for over 30 years now. And I started working in manifesting myself 15 years ago when I was just turning 40. You can do the math on how old I am now. And here's the thing, lots of wonderful things happened in my life when I started learning about it, absolutely. But I remained stuck in a few key areas. Now, most of my clients and yoga students are women in midlife, and the more I worked with them, the more I saw the same challenges that I was experiencing. We weren't taught to take great care of ourselves. We weren't taught to have a dream. We weren't taught to believe in ourselves, and we also weren't taught how to take really great care of our nervous system. And that makes a big difference. Honestly, we weren't raised to feel good in general, or if we did, we were waiting for the other shoe to drop. So as I said, I'm going to be going through all of the 5 steps plus 1 for living your extraordinary life, my signature manifesting program. And I'm going to specifically talk about how we need to look at these and how we need to work on them for women in midlife. So we're talking 40 on. So I'm going to share enough about the steps so you understand it and understand what we're doing. But if you want more, you can check out this video where I go through each of the steps definitely more deeply, because what I want to focus on is specifically what is holding us back as women of a certain age. Then I also want to give you a step to move forward. Like, what is it you need to take that next step to move forward? I have spent hours, days, weeks on this video, making it as strong as I possibly can. I have got PowerPoint that I'm going to share with you that you can take screenshots of. And I also created a workbook to go with this. Now it's $11.11, my favorite angel number, because I wanted to keep it super affordable, because I wanted it in your hands, not in your cart. And I also want you to take it seriously because it is chock full of tons of resources for you. I've got worksheets based on the exercises I'll be sharing in this video. I have extra exercises, and I also have links to videos and podcasts that can help you even more with each of the steps. The thing I do that's a little unique is that I add yoga and essential oils to each of the steps. I just know yoga and essential oils help us transform faster, and I'm always looking for a way to speed the process up a little bit, right? So that you can find in the workbook. But honestly, if all you need is this video, because it's going to be very complete, that's awesome too. You've got yourself started. I'm going to start with getting on my soapbox a little bit, because I have such an issue with the term middle age being so negative in our culture. And if you're listening in somewhere else in the world where middle age is a wonderful thing, I am so jealous, but I am, as of today, reclaiming the term middle-aged because it is a wonderful time of life. When you think about it, if you had children, there's a good chance they are older and a little bit more self-sufficient or even have moved out. You are settled in your career if you had a career, or now you've got the time and space to start your career because you also have decades left of vibrant living. I mean, you've got 2, 3, maybe even 4 decades. I'm planning to live to be 100 and I'm going to be vibrant till the very end. Then we've got lots of time and we still have the energy to do something with it. I just think middle age is the best time ever. And I want you to check any cultural attitudes you might have at the door. It's time to start letting them go. I've taught middle-aged women in yoga since I started teaching. And I started teaching when I was 22, I believe, 23 maybe. And I noticed early on that there was this turning point, okay? Before the turning point, people would come in and say, women in particular, occasionally men, but this is mostly women, would come in and say, my knee's bothering me. What do I need to do to help it feel better? My shoulder is a little tender. My lower back is tight. What can I do? And there was this turning point somewhere between mid-40s and mid-50s where that would change to my knees bothering me. I'm getting older. That's probably the way it is. My shoulder's bothering me. You know, I'm getting older. And it used to drive me nuts. And I would do what I'm doing now because in science, the body can heal till the very end. It can change. The brain can shift. The neuroplasticity of the brain lasts till the very end. Yes, there are certain wearing out of the body if you haven't taken care of it. And we all have areas of our body that we haven't taken care of. We don't realize it's an issue until we have an issue, right? But you can heal at any age. You can change at any age. At any age. So I want you to, if you have an attitude about middle age, and I am telling you there is a really good chance there is something in there that's telling you you're over the hill, you're past your prime, it's all downhill in a bad way from here, I want you to let that go. Instead think, this is the freaking best time of my life because I now have more freedom from family and I still have energy and time and perhaps even discretionary money for myself. And just lean into that. Okay, I'm done. Off of my soapbox. Okay, now I want to point out that I have a lot of information. This is going to be a long video. I encourage you to watch it start to finish the first time and then go back and do section by section as needed. And you'll understand that more as we go through it. I wanted to make this a really complete ultimate guide to manifesting in midlife. So forgive the long-windedness, but at the same time, I want you to realize that this is complete. I am going to be sharing so much information to help you take those first steps for yourself. Just a quick overview. Again, I'm going to be going over my 5 steps plus 1 for living your extraordinary life, each of the steps. For each of the steps, I'm going to give you a quick description. Again, if you want a longer one, you can check my longer video out. I'm also going to be sharing why it's more challenging for women of a certain age, and there's a couple where it makes it easier. And the third thing I'm going to do is give you a next step so that you can take that next step in this area. What I recommend you doing is listen to the whole thing, as I said, then go back and give yourself at least a week to work with each one, to incorporate the things that I'm talking about, perhaps even more. If you grab the workbook, you're also going to get an email from me once a week for the next few weeks, just gently reminding you that this is what you're working on, this is what you're thinking about. As I talk, you are going to find that there's going to be certain ones that you really resonate with, like, oh my God, I need to work on this. And then you're going to have some where you're like, I got this, Laura. This doesn't resonate at all. Like, this is super easy for me. And you're also going to find a third area, and this is where when I talk about it, you go, nope, nope, that's not an issue. Nope, nope, totally not an issue for me. Nope, nope, nope. And this is where I say, methinks the woman doth protest too much. Okay, I know I screwed up that that quote, but you know what I'm saying. And when we do that, it's because it is very much an issue for us, but it's very hard for us to look at it. And if it's still hard for you to look at, don't start there, right? You're going to start from the beginning, do the steps in order, which will make it easier to look at it. By the time you get to that, it gets much easier to look at it as we evolve ourselves a little bit. It's much easier to look at the stuff that's a little tricky. But then just honor yourself, like, yeah, that's an issue, I get it, and I'm not ready to look at it. And that's totally okay. So without further ado, let's get into this. We are going to start with the +1, 5 steps +1 for living your extraordinary life. Now, I talk about this one a lot. One could even say ad nauseum. Now, the reason for that is because it's self-care. And when I first started teaching this program, which was probably 12 years ago when I first wrote this program, I had the +1 as an extra. I just thought, you know what, self-care is probably a good idea. The more I do it, the more I realize that it is the thing we need to be focused on, especially women of a certain age. And I'm going to get into why that is. So that +1, I left it out on the outside because it is still crucial. And I think it is the most important thing that we can work on. I'm going to first talk about why it's important for manifesting. Okay, why is this +1? Why is it so important? Then I will cover why that's particularly hard for us for women in midlife, and then I'm going to give you the first step. We weren't raised with the message that we should take care of ourselves, that it's okay to make self-care a priority over others and things that need to be done. We weren't taught that, right? We were taught that self-care comes after the list is done, after everyone is taken care of, after the house is all clean and everything is put away, then we can sit down. I literally was raised with the message, my mother says it, says it still, oh, I can't sit down and rest yet. I still have things to do. If I sit down, I won't get up again. I said that early on in my marriage, and my husband looked at me and said, that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. And it just made me laugh because I was like, you're right. It is stupid. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? And it's because it's the message we have received, okay? This is our cultural message for our generation. Younger generations are doing much better, but we are talking boomers, Gen Xers, early millennials. This is what we heard. But here's the thing. This is why it's important for our manifesting, okay? It raises our vibe and joy ceiling. Okay, so we are only comfortable with feeling so good. This is the weirdest thing ever, but it is true. I talk about it a little bit more in a podcast that I will link below. And it's called Your Pain Floor and Your Joy Ceiling. There's just as bad as you're willing to feel before you do something about it, whatever it is, and as good as you're willing to feel before you throw a wrench in it. This is when we're waiting for that other shoe to drop. And when you're waiting for the other shoe to drop with manifesting, guess what? It's gonna drop, right? So you're gonna be proven right. So when we take care of ourselves, it raises our vibration. And when we keep taking care of ourselves, it keeps raising our vibration. It pushes that joy ceiling up so that you get more and more comfortable with feeling better and better. The other thing it does is it helps us regulate our nervous system. So our nervous system is our stress and relaxation, okay? And we run naturally in this stressful state. We run high, especially as women, and especially as women of a certain age. When you hit perimenopause, cortisol becomes a bigger issue. That's for a whole nother video, or you can Google it. Just know that we are more affected by cortisol, so we ride even higher, and that actually causes the weight gain, especially the belly fat, all sorts of fun things. So we weren't taught how to regulate our nervous system, and this will be true for men too, but it affects women more as a result of our hormones and the way our hormones work in our body. And we have to learn how to relax. You cannot manifest from a stressful state. You can't manifest, it doesn't work, right? When you are really stressed out and anxious and fearful or worried, you are not allowing things in. You have to learn how to regulate your nervous system. Self-care helps in general, but as a subset of self-care, I definitely recommend figuring out how to regulate your nervous system, figuring out how to really relax. And in the workbook, I give you a whole menu of ideas. You can also Google it. Finally, and I think this is one of the most important ones for manifesting, self-care tells the universe you are worth taking care of. Okay, so if you are sending out this energy of, I need to get all this done before I can take care of myself. I need to take care of everyone else before I can take care of myself. I need to take care of the house before I can take care of myself. The universe is saying, well, then I'm going to respond to that. You are not worth taking care of. You're not worth getting all of these things that you want because you've got all these other things you need to do first. So we want to send out the message that, nope, damn it, I'm worth taking care of. And then that is what's going to happen. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. I'm going to repeat that for those of you in the back. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Remember the put your oxygen mask on first and then you can help others? Oh my gosh. Since I have prioritized self-care even more, I am just a much better wife. I'm a much better parent, much better yoga teacher, life coach. Like all the things fell into my life so much better. It is so powerful. It is so important. I actually created an entire course around it called Up Your Vibe, the Radical Self-Care Toolkit. And I want to give those of you who got the workbook half off of that. So the link will be in the workbook for you and in the follow-up emails. But you need to prioritize so much this self-care. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to rewrite your self-care story. So take a little time to sit down over a cup of tea or a glass of wine, and I want you to write out what it is you learned as a child, what was demonstrated for you. I already told you my story, and it summed it all up. I'm telling you, just hearing, I have to get everything done before I sit down, because if I sit down, I won't get up again, because she was that exhausted, right? Write down what you learned, and then rewrite it. So this is what I learned. This is what I now want to be my story. How do you want to show up in the world for yourself? The second thing is be intentional with your own self-care. Okay, you want to create a system. And the system needs to be planned ahead of time. I recommend daily, weekly, monthly. And I talk about this a lot more in the Radical Self-Care Toolkit, but just know it is about what is it I'm going to do every single day that helps me feel more filled up, and it can just take 5 minutes. This doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a ton of time. Everyone says, well, I don't have enough time. It's like, stop. You do. You can turn your shower into a self-care event by turning on your diffuser, turning out the lights, and listening to gentle music. You're doing the shower anyway. Just turn it into something that feels even better. You can turn your commute to work into a self-care event by listening to a podcast that you really enjoy or an audiobook. Find your favorite rom-com author and listen to your book in the car to and from work. So it doesn't have to be much, but make it intentional, meaning I'm doing this to help myself fill up, because it's going to be so much more powerful than if you're just doing it rote without letting yourself enjoy it. Makes a difference. Weekly, do something a little bit more, something that takes a little bit more time, like say a yoga class, or maybe a walk at some nature preserve that's a little bit of a drive from your house. I have a walk that I do. It takes me a full hour, and I only do it a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, because that's a big time commitment for me all at once, and I really enjoy it. It's fantastic. And then monthly, once a month, this is your third thing, you're going to take a day to do a retreat for yourself. Just one day. And if you're panicked about one day, it's okay to just do an afternoon. I taught this, and I still have months where I'm like, I just can't do it. I have so much to do. I'm just going to do an afternoon. It took me probably about 4 years to really be able to take a full day. It took time, and I expanded it. I started with an afternoon, and then I started with a mid-morning to dinner time, and then I did mid-morning to nighttime. Like I still did a little something in the morning, right? And I still do it on Sundays, because Sundays are easier for me to take a whole day off than any other day of the week. So plan that out. And plan a day that just fills you up. And if you still struggle with taking a full day, again, give yourself some grace, make it shorter, but also have a conversation with yourself as to why I can't give myself 12 days out of 365. because that's an important conversation that you need to have. So step 1 of the 5 steps is your vision. Getting clear on what you want. And we are talking, what do you really, 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 really want? You have to know where you're going, right? You have to at least have an idea of what you want to create for yourself, right? You got to be moving forward towards something. But what's the challenge? We weren't taught to dream in general. And I will tell you, I was raised in a family of an entrepreneur who totally believed in dreams. And I still struggled, and I think it's because culturally, it wasn't supported. I remember telling one of my best friends from college, I said, I think I want to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing. And she cut me down so fast. Everyone wants that. That's the easy way out. That's not realistic. I remember it obviously so vividly that it still affects me today. I mean, I had to work on it because I had to get it out of my system because it became part of my story. So you need to figure out what it is you want specifically, aside from your family. I had a client once who I gave this exercise to use a check register. And each day you're going to deposit an imaginary amount of money. So she started with $1,000. The next day she deposited $2,000. The next day she deposited $3,000. And she had to spend that money every day on herself. And she literally couldn't do this imaginary exercise until she had paid for the new roof that they need. This is imaginary. There's no money, right? And she's like, it's going to be $25,000. I cannot spend a penny on myself until that's done. And this was just an imaginary exercise. And honestly, I totally got it. I totally get that challenge. We have to be able to let ourselves dream and to tap into that excitement. And it's extra hard for those of us of a certain age. So what can you do? Well, first of all, I definitely recommend setting aside some visioning time. If you're going to spend a whole week on each of these topics, which I definitely recommend, or longer if you need it, give yourself a few times to vision, to think about what it is you really want, to let yourself relax, loosen up. Maybe a glass of wine. I find a glass of wine or two can loosen my thoughts a little bit, loosen my limiting beliefs, which we're going to get to in a little bit, so that I can really tap into something that I really want. And I do have a couple of ideas to help you, which I have here on the screen, and they are also in your workbook. And that is, what would you do if you won the lottery? So think about that. If all of a sudden you had everything you needed for money, what would you do? And I'm telling you, the most common response I get is, I just go sit on a beach. I'm like, great, for about 2 weeks. Then you'd be bored off your butt. What are you going to do after that? Who are you going to serve? Who are you going to help? How are you going to fill your days? Think about that. The second thing you can think about is, who do you envy? Because envy indicates someone else has something you want. So think about that. What is it that they have that you want? And do you want it? Sometimes you'll find, I don't actually want it. And then all of a sudden you're not envious anymore, which feels really good. And then if you're still struggling, start with what you don't want. Create a whole list of all the things you don't want. And then extrapolate from that what it is you do want. Sometimes that's easier because it can just help you begin to unravel all the things you've created for your life and be able to find what it is you want. The trick is to let yourself dream. We have had dreaming drummed out of us over the years. And you got to just relax and let yourself dream. If you have a friend who's really good at dreaming, bring them in. Chat with them, talk about them. You don't want to talk to someone who says, oh, I don't know, that's not realistic, like my college friend, right? You want to talk to that person who goes, oh my God, that's so fantastic. And you know what else you could do? You could do this. And he or she they expand the dream rather than limit it. So powerful. I swear 60% of my job as a life coach is just to help people think bigger, to get outside of their box. Everyone is in your box. Even if you are a great dreamer, believe me, you are short of your true dream. You're capable of more. We're all capable of more. I don't care how much you're doing, what you're doing, you're capable of more. And if that's what you want to do, then absolutely step into that more. I also want to point out before we move on that I'm going to say when, it's not if, it's when, you hear the yeah buts come up in your mind. This is like, yeah, but I don't have enough time. Yeah, but I don't have enough money. Yeah, but I don't have enough support. Blah, 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 blah. Write them down. Okay, write them down because we're going to take care of them in the next step. But also keep going. Like, okay, so let's pretend I do have enough money. Let's pretend I do have enough support. I do have enough time. Whatever it is, what could I do? What do I want? Like, let go of all of that. Even if you need a new roof, I want yourself to pretend all of that is done and you have what you want. Step 2, you have to believe it's possible. Enough said, right? If you don't believe it's possible, like in general, but specifically for you, you're never going to move forward. You're going to constantly sabotage your efforts moving forward. Now, here's the thing. Beliefs are merely opinions you've held for a very long time. That's all they are. But they are lodged in our subconscious, so we don't even know they're there. Now, I'm not going to go deeply into this. You can check that other video out if you want to learn more about this. Just know that beliefs are really the foundation of manifesting, because we all have files pre-programmed in our brain that tells us you don't deserve something, you're not good enough, you don't have the skills for it. And I can tell you exactly what's in your belief system by looking at your life. So look at your life. What do you have an abundance of? What do you not have an abundance of? So if you have a lot of love in your life, you have a great marriage, you have no beliefs that hold you back from that. In fact, you have positive beliefs, wonderful beliefs that tell you you deserve a great marriage, a great family. If you have no money in your checking account, you have a limiting belief around money. You have something that is holding you back from having more money. So you know exactly what your beliefs are based on what it is that you have in your life. Now, these are stories that we heard when we were children, but you can also hear messages as you get older that also affect you. It depends, first of all, from whom you heard it. So if it was someone with whom you had a great relationship, you respected them a lot, a coach, a teacher you really loved, and they said something one time, that sucker can lodge and be stuck there. Or if you heard the same message over and over and over again as a child, then it definitely gets lodged, even if the person wasn't someone you really trusted or respected. And also there are cultural beliefs. So we definitely have a society here in the US in particular where women don't have as much respect. And there's racism, there's sexism, and all of that is baked into our society that we need to overcome because those messages are literally in our DNA. But we can overcome it. Begin to track your yeah buts. All those times that you say, yeah, but that is a sign of a limiting belief. Okay? And those are the ones we want to begin to rewrite because those yeah buts are creating your life. You are absolutely 100% creating your life around the things you feel are holding you back. They're going to hold you back. And because we weren't taught in general to believe in ourselves, especially as women in our culture, then it creates an added level of difficulty, right? So what do? Well, what I want you to do is write your yeah buts down, begin to identify them, and then you can rewrite them with a what if. What if I didn't have this limitation? How would that look? Just begin to explore how that looks and how that feels. And notice if you can start feeling the difference. Does it feel different when you start to feel like you have more time, space, more money, more support, whatever it might be? And then I encourage you to write an affirmation around it. Affirmations 100% work. They are so powerful if they're done well. And in the workbook, I actually have a link to a free ChatGPT site that helps you craft really powerful affirmations. And then I encourage you to do my stand tall practice. It's just how to stand really tall in Tadasana yoga pose. It's a free video out of my YouTube site. I will link below to that. You can absolutely go check that out. And you stand tall and say your affirmation from a place of strength, not from a place of weakness. You want to feel your affirmation because that begins to rewire the brain and shift the body into that new belief. It's so cool. Oh, and also stay tuned because my next video is going to be an exercise called a belief bridge that helps you move beyond your beliefs. So be sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that one. So we're on step 3, and this one is called right action. You got to do something, right? You got to do something if you want to manifest something. You got to change something. You got to do something. We got to take action. So let's talk about the unique challenges for those of us in midlife. These are the ones I hear all the time. They are the ones that I hear coming out of my own mouth. The first and biggest is I don't have time. Oh my gosh, I hear that one all the time. And I'm really amused when I hear it from women who are empty nesters, maybe even retired. My mom does this one all the time. I don't have time. I'm like, what do you do all day? How do you fill your time? But it's because we have this belief we don't have time, so we just continue that story, right? That we don't have time. We feel like we don't have time. We're genuine. You're not lying about it, right? You really don't feel like you have time. The second thing that really challenges us, this is another one I hear all the time, is thinking that only big actions count. Well, of course you don't have time if you think it's going to take you a week to get it done, right? Like that's the only one that counts. Little thing, that doesn't count. That's no big deal. That doesn't even count. Oh my word, we all do it. Number 3, as I talk about gentle action moving forward, we're coming out of a whole generation of hustle culture. You need to be doing things. You have to be doing things a lot. You have to do it all day. You've got to get up early. You got to stay up late. You got to lose sleep over this. Our generation, especially Gen X, early millennial, we were taught hustle. You've got to be doing lots and lots of things. But that is so counter to what we need as women in midlife, because that sets off more cortisol, more stress, and is not trusting the process of manifesting, where things are drawn to you if you are in the right space. So when I talk gentle action, it's gentle, but it's not passive. Okay? So that's often very confusing for us. Your action also needs to come from inspiration. And again, this is I have to undo the programming of hustle culture for clients and myself, because we feel like, oh no, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. We never stop and think, what feels good right now? What resonates? What is it that needs to happen next? And let that come from a place of inspiration, right? It just feels like the next step. Doesn't mean every step is going to be easy or feel good, but it does mean it feels like it's that next step. What often happens with hustle culture people is we get fixated on that final place, and we are just doing those action steps, when if we'd open up our blinders, relaxed, we'd realize actually the better vision is over here. This is where I want to go. So you need to take time to pause, relax your nervous system, and get into a space of your vision, your excitement, and then take action from there. And that is tricky for us. That is especially hard. When I work with men, they're on it. They've got it. Women, it takes a little time to say, nope, stop, slow down, figure out what feels good. So what is your next step? Well, it kind of depends on what's slowing you down, but I'm going to guess time is a big one. And so the first thing I want you to do is start to track your time. Now, I know time management people say you should track every minute. That would drive me nuts. I have enough ADHD to know that that would not work for me. But when I did it for myself, I just did it kind of in blocks. How was the, 8 to 10 time in the morning, 10 to 12? What did I do? What did I get done? Oh my gosh, I found so much time wasting. I realized that the afternoons, for me, after lunch, that block between 1 and maybe 3:30, I never got a thing done, but I would have told you I was busy. Like I'd be on my computer scrolling and doing things, but not actually accomplishing anything. Jack squat. It was such a waste of my time, and now I use it for other things. This is when I do my creative work. I write blogs or programs or whatever. I work with clients. I'm really well suited at that time to work with clients. Track your time. Trust me, there are time wasters. There are things you can let go of to create space for what you really want. And then create a whole list of things that just take 15 to 20 minutes, even 5. Things you can fit into the cracks of your day, because there are plenty of cracks. So one of the things I have noticed over the years is the women who get the most done, who work with me and really are on top of it. I have a couple of clients in particular I can pull off the top of my head that was so powerful, were the women who had small children and also worked outside the home. Both of them, the ones I'm thinking of, were vice presidents of corporations, or one was a bank, one was a corporation. And they could get anything done. And it's because they were really good with their time. They could always find those pockets, and we can find them too. Okay, so find the pockets and then find the 15 to 20 minute jobs you can do. And it's great to have this list together. I have a notes app on my phone. I have a notes doc that has 15 to 20, that's what it's called. And then I can pull it out, because usually I waste that 15 to 20 and think, oh, I could have done this. And usually it's like hours later, I think, I could have done that instead of that in that spot, especially as I became more aware of my time wasters. So have your list of things that you can do. Okay, then take the time to feel good, to get into your vision, to feel your vision, to get excited about your vision. And then make sure the next step is the one you want to take. Now, I honestly only do this about once a week, just to make sure that I've got my blinders off and I'm opening up. And then I create a list of the things I want to get done based on this. I don't do it with every single action, okay? But I always want to make sure that this is where I'm really where I want to be. So I pause and open up, and it's not here, right? There isn't a tweak to it. Just make sure. And then you get excited about that step as you're getting excited about your dream. When you pause and you think, oh yeah, that's going to be really awesome. I can't wait, and I'm so ready to take this next action. All right, we are up to step 4, and this one is faith. You got to trust this whole process. And that means you're relaxing into it. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel intense. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to do this. It's softer. Along with faith is receiving. Okay, allowing in the things that you want. We are actually pretty terrible in general as women of our generation to receive things. I mean, think about how you feel when someone compliments you. Do you go, oh, thank you? Or do you say, oh, well, it was no big deal, and kind of brush it off? Or do you say, oh, you also do that really well? That's throwing a compliment back. That is deflecting something good coming into your life. How do you feel when someone gives you a gift and you have nothing in return? Feel like you owe them? Yeah. So this is what we need to work on shifting in order to manifest. So what happens for us, why it's hard, is we feel like we have to do everything, and we don't deserve for anything to be easy or to receive it. So what can you do? Well, there are a few things you can actually do, but I also think that this is a challenging thing to take into action because it's more of an undoing. And this is where yoga and essential oils can come in really handy. And there are a couple of yoga practices that I've relatively recently put on my YouTube site that you can check out. I will link to them, of course, in your bonus resources. And they'll help you relax and unwind, because realize that this belief we can't receive, that we have to do everything, it's bound into our body. And as we stretch and move and twist in particular, it's going to help us let go of that and allow us to be in that softer place. Our body represents what's going on in our mind, and we can work with our body to shift the mind. Now, another thing you can do is start to journal around the areas in your life where you're struggling. So if you're struggling in your financial area, think about, why am I struggling here? What did I learn? What am I holding on to? What am I not trusting? And just begin to tap into what's really going on for you. And then challenge yourself to receive with more grace and ease. Invite $5 in. Say, I want to find $5. I want to receive $5, $10, whatever you want to do. Make it small enough so that it's pretty effortless. I want to receive it easily in the next 3 days. I'm going to bring $5 into my life. One thing I did is I realized that I wasn't receiving gratitude well from my students. Like I mentioned earlier, that was my story. So someone would say, oh my gosh, Laura, thank you. That was such a great class. Oh, it was no big deal. And when I caught myself doing it with students with whom I had a good relationship, I would stop, I would square myself off to them, because that's the other thing is, right, we turn and we brush it off. And I would say, I am learning how to receive gratitude. Can you please say that again? And they totally got me and would say, absolutely. And I would first start by not turning. Like I would just square myself off, open my heart to it. Then I was able to get to a point where I could relax. Like I would be holding my breath like resisting. So the energy of that thank you would not enter my body. And then I could soften and I could breathe it in. And then I could just allow it to become a part of my vibration. Just bring it in and let it be there without feeling like I had to reply or say anything, like send it back to them, right? I just fully received. Still working on it in other areas of my life, but I'm a work in progress, as we all are. You know, before we leave this one, I also want to add, remember that manifesting is about working with the universe. It's like you have a coworker in your life that is out there helping you and supporting you, sending you the right things. Yes, you got to say yes, you got to follow up. That's the whole point. You don't have to do all of it though. You don't have to find all of your opportunities. They will come to you when you're in the right space for it. So our job really is about letting go and allowing in. And yeah, taking the action when we need to, saying yes, that's a big one. We need to begin to accept all of that wonderful thing into our life, those wonderful things, and to let go and to soften and to trust the process. This is a really important step. Okay, as is the following one. So let's get into that. Gratitude. So, do you feel grateful for your life? If you are like 99.9% of my clients, you say, oh my God, yeah, of course I'm grateful for my life. But we spend 99.9% of our time stressed, anxious, or worried. We are the worry generation. I mean, if you aren't worried, that means you don't care or you aren't focused on the right things. Am I right? And here's the thing. Again, this is one of those that might be tricky. You might feel your shields go up. But we need to train ourselves to be in a good space, to be in a grateful, appreciative space for our life in order to manifest. Manifesting doesn't come from I'll be happy when. It comes from I love my life and I'm ready for more. Doesn't mean all of your ducks in a row, because they're never going to be. This is life in the physical realm. There's always going to be challenges. So it's not about getting your ducks all in a row. It's about finding the things in your life, all the silver linings, right? Finding all of those things in your life that make you feel good. And here's the thing. Feeling good about your own life, but also feeling good about your vision. So we can't, again, be I'll be happy when. It's I'm happy now. I love my life, and I know manifesting works. I have the faith because I've already been through step 4, right? And I trust this. So now I'm just going to feel grateful for my dream. I'm so excited. Like it's going to feel so good. I'm feeling it now because I know it's coming. A great analogy to this is say you win the lottery on Friday. You can't access it till Monday because the office is closed, but you know it's coming. And you spend all weekend excited, planning, figuring out how you're going to spend it, what you're going to do with the first people you're going to call, right? In fact, you're telling people, I won the lottery. But you can't get access till Monday. That's what's happening right now, right? We are loving our life, loving our vision, and we know it's the next thing around the corner, and we're feeling grateful for it. And that is much harder than we think to do. I want you to start catching yourself. How often do you catching yourself worried or anxious or complaining about something? Oh my gosh, it is so much more often than you think. And if you feel the shields go up, take a deep breath. You don't have to tell anyone or to talk to anyone about this. Just go, Laura said this is a possibility, so I am just going to check in and see what happens. So start paying attention. So what should you do? Well, at the risk of being one big fat duh, you got to start practicing gratitude. So that whole gratitude practice, that fad is so important. It's really important because the more you practice gratitude, the more your brain will be wired to think grateful thoughts even when you're not thinking about them, okay? So I'm not going to go into the subconscious mind a lot, but just trust me when I say the more we have a thought, the deeper that groove goes, the harder it is to have any other thoughts, okay? So these are our worry, stressful thoughts. But the more we practice gratitude, the less deep of a groove, less deep, you know what I mean? We shave off that groove so that it's easier to be in a grateful state. So the more you do it, the better it will become. So start that daily practice. It is so powerful. One of my favorite resources is The Magic by Rhonda Burns. She wrote The Secret. She wrote a book that I would have written, and I didn't have to because it's already done, on a gratitude practice. It's 28 days. You get a different exercise every day. It is so powerful. You should see my book. It's all dog-eared, bookmarks, little page turns, the corners turned over, highlighted. I've gone through the entire series probably 4, maybe 5 times. Whenever I'm starting to feel myself go down a little bit, I grab that book and I dive in to gratitude. It is so powerful, so very powerful. So what I want you to do is set up an intentional practice, okay? Doing it every single day, preferably a couple times a day. It doesn't have to be long. It's best to write it out, but if you can just do it in your head, put your hands on your heart, whatever. It's so good. In your bonus resources, I have shared a gratitude practice. I put together a form for 3 days where you just date it and put 3 things you're grateful for. Super easy, you're in, you're out, but don't just write it down. You want to actually feel the gratitude, feel in your heart how grateful you are for your spouse or your home or your work or your dog or whatever it is. Like, feel the love you have, because that's going to change things. And when we start to change our day-to-day, stepping more into gratitude, we're then going to change it for manifesting. It's going to be much easier to feel grateful for that dream you are stepping into. And there we have it. So here's the thing. If it feels big, it's because it is, okay? If you're relearning how to want again, or if you've never known, you're learning how to want, how to desire, how to let yourself desire. It's changing the way we think. You're allowed to be powerful and expansive and gentle at the same time. And here's the thing, you don't have to do it alone. Not at all. You can join my Facebook community, link below. I'm just getting it started again, and I'm going to be posting lots of supportive things for all of us, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so be sure you check that out. If you want more structure, grab the workbook below. It's $11.11, $11.11. Such a good angel number. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. I am trying to get the word out for women everywhere to empower you, to feel good, and to approach manifesting from the softer state that we were built on instead of that really intense state that we've all learned about over the years. So pass it on. I appreciate it. Subscribe, like the video, comment below. I would love to hear what you've learned. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. Here's the thing. Most manifesting advice was not made for women in the Midwest.